All right, so this is exit ticket form A. First, I'm going to knock out my horizontal asymptote because I can determine that by looking at my degree. So if I look at my numerator and my denominator, they both have a degree of 2. So that means I'm just going to divide my coefficients. So I will take 3 divided by 1, which is going to be 3. So it will be y equals 3 for my horizontal asymptote. And to get the rest of my information, I'm going to go ahead and simplify my function. So I will first factor out a 3 on the top, which will leave me with x squared plus 6x plus 8 divided by, I'm going to factor the bottom, that will give me x plus 3 and x plus 4. And then I'm going to further factor the top. I'm not going to forget about my 3 because I still factored it out. And that's going to give me x plus 4 and x plus 2. And that's going to be divided by my x plus 3 and x plus 4. I notice I have an x plus 4 on the top and bottom, so I'll cancel those out. And so my simplified form, I'll be left with 3 times x plus 2 divided by x plus 3. And to get my vertical asymptote, I'm going to set my denominator here equal to 0. So I'll have x plus 3 equals 0. And if I solve that by subtracting 3 from both sides, my vertical asymptote will be x is equal to negative 3. So I have my asymptotes knocked out. I'm going to go ahead and graph those now that I just did that. So let's do my vertical asymptote at x equals negative 3. And my horizontal asymptote at y equals 3. All right. Next, I'm going to determine my hole. So my hole is where I cross something out. I crossed out this x plus 4. So to get my x coordinate, I will just set that equal to 0. So x plus 4 equals 0. X will equal negative 4. And to get my y coordinate of my hole, I'm going to have to plug that back into my simplified version of my function, because if I plugged it back into my original, that would give me 0 on my denominator, which would not help me any. So I'll plug in 3 times negative 4 plus 2 divided by negative 4 plus 3. So that would give me negative 4 plus 2 gives me negative 2. Negative 2 times 3 gives me negative 6 divided by negative 4 plus 3, which is 1. Negative 1. So that will give me 6. So my hole should be at the coordinate negative 4 comma 6. I'm going to go ahead and plot that, negative 4 and up 6. So I should make sure my hole is clear right there, and I know where that is. My x-intercept, I will get that by setting my simplified numerator, or if you want to set the numerator in general, equal to 0. But if you did that, just remember, if you cross something out for a hole or an asymptote, then it will not be there. So I'll easily just set my factored form and my simplified form equal to 0. My numerator of 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. If I divide both sides by 3, that will give me x plus 2 equals 0. If I subtract 2 from both sides, that will leave me with x is equal to negative 2. So my x-intercept will be at negative 2 comma 0. Plot that point here. And then the last points that I can plot based off of this would be my y-intercept, and that I get that by plugging in 0 into my function. So I will have 3 times 0 plus 2 divided by 0 plus 3. That would give me 6 divided by 3, which is 2. And so that will be the coordinate 0 comma 2. And now I have 3 points here, and because I know it's going to be symmetrical, if I go from where my asymptotes cross, go down 1 to the right 3. I can go up 1 to the left 3, plot 1 point here. And let's say for good measure, I want to get 1 extra point. Let's say I want to get one at, let's say, 1. I can just plug that into my simplified version. I will get 3 times 1 plus 2 divided by 1 plus 3. That will give me 9, because 1 plus 2 is 3, times 3 is 9, divided by 4. So 9/4 isn't a great number, but it'd be somewhere about right here. And so again, symmetrically, be a point about right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a rough sketch of what this should look like. Arrow coming from this side, coming downwards, and it's going to approach my asymptotes on each side. It'll do the same thing. Oops. I will do the same thing for the other side now. So it's going to be approaching from the asymptote and going down. All right, and the last thing to knock out is my domain and range, and I have to remember to keep my holes and my asymptotes in mind. So my domain, I'm going to start from the left, going from negative infinity. And first, I'm going to approach a hole at x equals -4. So negative infinity to -4. Union, I'm going to pick up at -4 and keep going to -3. Union, and then -3. That's my last part where it breaks up to infinity. And I'll do the same thing for my range now. Start from negative infinity on the bottom. Go up. I will first hit my horizontal asymptote at y equals 3. So the 3, union, 3, comma, then I'll get to my hole at y equals 6. So I'll have 6, union, 6, comma, infinity. And so that's how we would finish graphing number 1A.